Okay. You're a sneaky one. You want to learn how to win at chess really fast and without having to study much? You shouldn't do that. However, you're in the right video where I'm going to teach you how to win in just 6 moves. But listen to me. It's not just going to be a quick checkmate that only works if your opponent falls for it, but I'll show you how to win quickly no matter what your opponent does. This video is pure gold. Watch closely. You're gonna start by playing e4, the most logical move in chess. And now the most common response is e5, the double king's pawn. As I always tell you, the most played opening in chess. Now, how are we going to continue? Well, with knight f3, and then they'll continue with knight c6. You can't tell me you haven't played this a million times. If you haven't played it a million times, it's because you haven't played a million games, right? So here we're going to continue with the Scotch opening d4. What's the idea behind the Scotch opening? Well, it's very simple. We're threatening to capture this pawn. Notice that we're attacking it with 2 pieces and it's only defended by 1. I mean, here, the only good move by far for the BL for the black pieces, not BAC, right? Black is to take this pawn, the only good one, okay? Otherwise, we would capture. And here, the natural move in the Scotch opening would be to capture this pawn. But, we don't really like normal moves. We like weird moves. So our opponent falls for them, and we win in just a few moves. Here, the first but not only move I'm going to teach you to win fast is this knight jump right here, knight g5. A somewhat peculiar move, it's true, and it doesn't threaten anything because a knight on its own does absolutely nothing. Notice that everything it attacks is defended, this by the rook, this by the king. Come in here, nothing at all. In other words, it's a move that seems totally useless, and that's why your opponent will think, this guy is terrible. He's wasting time with the knight. He's moved it once, twice, I'll kick it out, and he'll have to move it a third time. So here, when they kick out your knight, we have at our disposal the brutal move knight takes f7. Notice that this knight is going in all alone, huh? And you'll say to me, wait, chess teacher, if it's alone, why does this attack work? Well, first, because here we're attacking the queen and the rook at the same time. That is, the only move the black pieces can make is to capture the knight. Otherwise, they'd lose one of these 2 pieces. And once they capture this knight, notice that what we've done is lure the king to the center of the board. And now we can attack it however we want. For example, with the bishop, check. Notice that this king says, well, yeah, the bishop is attacking me, but I can go back home and I'm up a knight. However, it's already too late because look at the attack that's coming his way. Check now with the green. It can't be stopped by the bishop or the knight because neither one can get between the king and the queen. He can't make this pawn move either because we'd just capture it and the threat would still be totally active. However, they can still try to escape with the king, even though it's already too late. Why? Because we can move in very easily with the queen. Check. Notice that what we're doing is making it so the king can't go anywhere, and now we just have to keep up the attack. Look, if the king moves here, how can we keep going? Well, by moving in now with this bishop right here. Look, these 2 bishops, like 2 swords, they cross in the middle of the board and make it so the king can't escape. He has to move over here. Notice that we move in with the queen. Check. If the king moves here, it's already checkmate. And if the king tries to escape this way, it's also checkmate. What we've done with this move is sacrifice the knight to draw the king toward the center with our pieces and checkmate him. A very simple way to beat your opponents at the start of the game. But watch out because this is only the beginning. If you liked this, what's coming next, you're going to like infinitely more. So remember that we have to start with e4 with the double king's pawn, knight f3, and when they play knight c6, we're going to play d4. When they capture, what are we looking at? Check out this incredible trap with the knight right here. This would be the most basic way to win. But there's an even stronger way, which is applying this Scotch gambit with bishop c4. I have a super interesting video on this channel where I talk in depth about this move, but here I'll explain how to win super fast. Why do we play bishop c4, giving away this pawn? Well, look, like every gambit, we're giving away a pawn in exchange for having a much stronger attack. And pay attention to this, we're attacking this point right here. For now, we're not doing anything. Notice that all the traps I'm showing you now, our whole modus operandi for attacking the opponent is by attacking this point right here. Before with the knight, now with the bishop, okay? Notice that the opponent, very intelligently, having an extra pawn and being attacked by two pieces, said, well, my opponent hasn't recaptured it, but instead developed a piece. I'll develop one too, and while I'm at it, defend this pawn. That's why bishop c5 here is the most common move. In fact, knight f6 is also very common, but notice that since this pawn isn't here, a push like this could really bother this knight. That's why it's much more common to first play bishop c5, maybe to later be able to play d6 without trapping the bishop, and then support here with the knight. And after bishop c5, we're going to pull a move out of our hat that's extremely good, and that's c3. This is where our opponent starts rubbing his hands and says, well, it's true that I have an extra pawn. And now with this move, you're letting me take here, and now I'm sure, absolutely sure, that I'll have an extra pawn for the rest of the game because I've captured two, and then when you recapture, you'll only have recaptured one, right? But the idea of playing c3 isn't to make pawn trades or anything like that. We don't care about the material. Right now, we only want the attack. And what we want is to open up the queen's line. Look, one very important thing, if your opponent doesn't capture, it's no big deal. We're going to capture ourselves, and look at what a spectacular center. Same pieces, same pawns, and we have a center that's 1,000 times better than our opponent's. I mean, that's why they capture here, right? And so here we're already winning. I mean, totally winning. And let me tell you something, okay? And I'm not just joking to make you believe it. With this trap right here, okay? This thing I'm showing you right now is what I've used to win the most speed games in my life in official tournaments. Not in online tournaments, in official tournaments. So it works a lot, okay? What are we gonna do? Capture this pawn here with the bishop. We're straight up giving away this bishop. Spectacular bombshell. Remember how we were giving away the knight before? Now the bishop, but with the same purpose, to deflect the king, okay? Look at what an important square. And now we come in with the queen, check, and we're gonna take this bishop here, okay? But notice that we're not gonna take it right away. If the king goes back or comes over here, notice that he lands on the same diagonal as the bishop. Then we would take right away, because we'd give check, and then we'd win back this pawn, and we'd be much better off. However, after giving this check, the most common move is to come here with the king. And here we're not going to capture, but first we'll give this check so that if he comes here, we'd be in the same spot, winning a tempo by capturing with check. Or if they make the most logical move, which is g6, what they'd be doing is weakening this diagonal here. And now, by capturing this bishop, we've simply opened up this diagonal for the rook. Notice that no matter how much they capture this pawn here, will be 1,000 times better thanks to our bishop occupying the longest diagonal in the position. You'll tell me, hey, but they're not forced to take. They can play many other options, right? For example, queen e7, I want to trade queens, I attack you here. It seems like a much more logical move. However, what we'll do is win back this pawn with the queen. Notice that we're even on material, so our gambit has worked to get the material back. And not only that, but we're 1,000 times better. And you'll say to me, hey, chess teacher, but here you're hanging this pawn, which is even giving check to the king. So what do I have to do? A good move seems to be this one, right? Yes, but watch out for the star move of the position, which is king d1. A spectacular move. First, he can't give you check with anything because we have everything covered, even if it seems hard to believe. And second, we're leaving this line so strong to place our rook, pin the queen, and win it because she couldn't move it since the king is behind it. So he should move this queen. The only square that can give a check is this one right here. Even if it looks good, it's a mistake because we just block with the bishop, and notice that now we're threatening to come through here once again. We are also threatening the rook. The threats are multiple ones. A totally impossible position, I'm telling you, to win with the black pieces, and a very easy one to win with the white pieces. They should block this threat, which notice is almost impossible to do, if not entirely impossible. If they cover with the knight, we capture. If they cover with the knight, we capture, since we have the other knight. And if they cover over here, same thing. In other words, they're gonna lose the game. Please, everyone pay attention because now comes the best part of the video, without a doubt. If anyone leaves now, they're gonna miss the best part and won't be able to sleep tonight. Notice why this is gonna be the best one. Knight f3, knight c6, we're gonna play d4 up to here, everything's the same. And by playing pawn takes pawn, we'll continue with the attack of the Scotch gambit, hitting this point right here, okay? Notice I mentioned knight f6 before, which is also a very commonly used move. And I told you, if you've been paying attention, that the move e5 was a very powerful move. But here, I'm going to show you a move that's even more so, and you're going to love it. Notice that here we have the typical move knight g5 hitting this point right here, and you'll tell me, chess teacher, this is the fried liver attack. It is more than punished with the black pieces. Even you've shown me on the channel how to punish this attack. But notice that in this position, it has a fundamental variation that's going to make you beat all your opponents. By the way, you're watching this video peacefully in your bed, on your couch, huh? It turned out great. You don't have to do anything, but I have put in a spectacular amount of work so you can watch it for free and with this quality. So how about giving me a nice big thumbs up for this? It doesn't cost you anything, man, or comment, whatever you want. Thank you very much, friend. By the way, here, how can they stop this attack right here? Well, they only have one move, and you'll agree with me that the only one is to play d5. You'll tell me it's very simple. I capture it with the pawn, and when they capture it with the knight, I capture this pawn with the knight, right? Well, no, friend. Here, you would lose the game. You haven't been paying attention. Right here, you lose the game. It's true that you attack the queen and you attack the rook. If they capture here, you could come in with the queen, hit here. Careful, you've gotten ahead of yourself. By taking here, they could play queen e7, an intermediate check, and on the next move take your knight. And you, playing as white, would lose the game. That's why be careful, because here, when making, I'll show you again so you understand, when playing d5 and making these exchanges, we shouldn't capture here, but instead we have the secret move, castling. What a beastly move, right? Well, pay attention to one thing. Right here, what are we threatening? Rook to e1, bringing the rook in. This king is going to be in a lot of trouble. If I were to ask you here what move you'd play to develop pieces, avoid this attack, and be able to castle quickly, most likely all of you would tell me bishop to e7. And it's a very logical move. Why? Because I want to castle quickly before you attack me, or before you defend yourself, sorry. And now, yes, now we can play knight takes because we've already castled. And look at this, we're attacking the queen, we're attacking the rook. So they have to capture with the king. There are no more intermediate checks because the king is safely castled. And now, yes, check with the queen. And on the next move, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to take this knight right here. Notice it would be a disaster to bring the king to the center of the board since we have the rook there. So now they really should move back, logically. By going back, for example, here, we'd be coming in with a check and then checkmate on the next move. So there's a move that seems to cover everything, which is bishop to f6. But it doesn't matter much to us because we're simply going to capture this knight with the check. They can block with the bishop, but it's fine because we'll trade, the king will be in the center, and we'll bring in the rook since we've castled. See the difference between castling and not castling, right? Short castle, right. Henry IV. We're attacking the king. Now, where does he have to go? Well, he has to move back, Frowns. And all we have to do is switch sides. We've already done everything here. We move here to give a diagonal check, and when he moves, for example, we come in here attacking the knight. The king is exposed, our king is totally safe, and the black position is just fallen apart. Super, 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 super important if you want to play this line. It's very important. Knight to f3, knight to c6, d4, pawn takes, and bishop to c4, right? If they play knight to f6, we've seen all the options. We already looked at bishop to c5 first, and now we're looking at knight to f6. You have it all covered very well in the video, so this is a very valuable video if you want to save it for later. But now this is super important. When we're making such a strong attack, we might overlook a move that, if you don't know how to punish it, could leave you shaken. But it's easy to punish, don't worry. I'll explain it very simply so you can understand it. What happens if they play knight to e5? Instead of playing d5, where we saw we'd make the trades and castle, what happens if they play knight to e5? They attack the bishop and defend this point at the same time. Many of you would say, oh crap, Well, I'm not going to use any bad words here because we're on YouTube and I want to monetize the video. That's just how it is, right? So if they attack the bishop and defend this way, all we have to do is pull this bishop back a little bit. Importantly, keeping it on this diagonal right here. See? Absolutely nothing happens here. But of course, now you'll say it's black's turn. We're attacking a defended spot. And if they attack this knight, we can't do anything anymore, right? Because now, if it were our turn to play, it would all be very easy. For example, I capture here, I threaten this knight, and when it moves, I capture here. Even stronger, I threaten with f4, and when its knight moves, I capture here. The difference is that it's black's turn, and they can kick out this knight. And if you haven't seen this part of the video, you're going to say, everything has gone down the drain, huh? Everything has gone down the drain. The whole attack. But don't worry, because here there's the move f4, which is a very strong move. You attack my knight, I attack yours. And notice that nothing happens here. Many of you will say, oh, well, I can move this knight away. If they move the knight, we simply win the game. So the only option they have left is to capture this knight and accept the exchange. And when we accept the exchange, the black pieces will say, well, it's not that big of a deal. We've traded knights, and now I can move this knight and even win another pawn. Absolutely nothing happens, because now we have the brutal move, queen takes d4, attacking this knight. And here there are two possible moves. If your opponent tries to be too clever because they're a pro, huh? They think they're the best in the world and want to make a spectacular move, or if they want to make the normal move. If they try to be too clever and are used to doing tactical exercises, they'll see that this move looks very good. It attacks the rook and can't be captured because it's pinned by this rook over here. So they might make this move. However, all we have to do is play the queen here, we attack the knight, and we threaten checkmate. So when they defend against the checkmate, we capture the knight. Serious mistake, trying to be too clever here. Very easy to punish, right? We simply come in with the queen and win a piece. And if they don't notice, we deliver checkmate. And the logical thing is to come here with the knight. Why? Because it's defended by the bishop and can no longer be captured. And besides, they're attacking this bishop here. This is the most logical move. However, we don't care because we simply castle short. We castle short, and now we're attacking this point with two pieces in a super strong way. The only move to save themselves from here, and practically mandatory, is to capture this bishop, right? And then we'll capture with the pawn, and look at the massive difference in position that we have. The king is already castled. The queen is in the center in a spot where she can't be attacked. Our rooks are both attacking vulnerable points, because right now, this point is only defended by one and attacked by two. Well, the most important thing is that the opponent has all their pieces on the back rank. An overwhelmingly winning position for the white pieces. Oh, by the way, I'm sure you like this video a lot, and I don't have a surprise, but I'm going to give you a scoop. I bought a new board. What do you think? I'm telling you, it's the coolest and most beautiful board I've ever bought in my life. You'll see it on the channel, Ziam. I hope you love it. Let's see what you think. You'll let me know in the comments. You know, I don't get many views on YouTube. That's just how it is. But I have a very nice community, huh? That you watch your videos. And this is the most important thing, that we build a community, that you give me likes, comments, and we talk to each other. Let's see what you think of my new board. I'm so excited to show it to you, okay? When it arrives, I'm gonna do my best to record with it quickly so you can see it. I don't know if I'll get a discount from the brand for all of you. I'm gonna try. If I get it, I'll tell you in the video. It's no problem at all. If not, you can still enjoy the board and the videos. So I hope you guys loved this video. Since we're the best chess community in the world, if you leave a comment, a like, or if you subscribe, everything helps. And I'll see you in the next video, friends. Goodbye.